Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. Okay, so spoiler season moves on, and we've got some real heavy hitters in this one, including one that, oh my goodness, I am not excited to play against, but what I am excited to play with and against is Niko, Light of Hope, a very exciting brand new commander, a 3/4 human wizard for 4 mana in Azorius. When it enters, create 2 shard tokens. They're going to be enchantments with pay 2, sacrifice this enchantment, scry 1, then draw a card. And by paying 2, tapping, you exile target non-legendary creature you control. Shards you control become copies of it until the beginning of the next end step. Return to the battlefield under source control at the beginning of the next end step. Okay, so this commander's got a good amount of potential. First up, you've got a lot of exciting things that you can do in Azorius. I mean, okay, I probably should have said one thing right now where, you know, you've got a bunch of untap effects. So, I mean, Intruder Alarm wouldn't exactly go infinite, but at least reset this each and every single turn so that you could, you know, if you've got some mana dorks out there, do it again and again and again and again and again. And ETBs can be quite fun with that. But with this, I mean, outside of some potential, you know, long-form combos, I guess, yeah, an ETB that you can very easily use and abuse in these colors. I mean, these are the 2 best colors for blink effects to use and abuse in ETB. So basically getting 2 shards every single time you do that, that's huge. And of course, with that, turning those shards, well, either into some card advantage, you know, by sacrificing them, or more likely keeping them in play, and then turning all of them into an amazing copy of a non-legendary creature control. And there's some pretty brutal and amazing things that you can do with that. I'm going to be talking about some cards that can really help you out in this matter. And also, I mean, you could consider this one for like kind of like a blink type strategy just in and of itself, because you want to blink the commander. You can also get obviously some other giant things to blink as well that are non-legendary that have some great ETBs. But I think the more fun when it comes to this kind of commander, when it comes to this kind of potential, because we already have seen, you know, 4 mana Azorius blink commanders like Brago. So, you know, let's do something a little bit different and get other creatures out that we want an absurd amount of copies of that we can do some really exciting things with. So with that said, let's jump into some cards that will work really well with this commander to consider. There's going to be a link in the description below before we jump on to the other spoilers. So, first up, populate effects. Now, the order that you need to do these things, you need to make sure you're going about it in the right way, because when you populate, you make a token copy of a creature token you control. So your shards are inherently not creatures. So, yeah, you need to make sure that you make them into creatures first, which you have a very easy way to do so, obviously, with this commander. So activate your commander, turn all of your shards into an amazing creature, and then populate that creature token. So, yeah, make sure you do that, because populating gives you extra, well, copies of those, and you can do some really crazy things with those, obviously. And, yeah, just basically a free extra token every single time with Muster the Departed. Enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature with flying. Beginning of your end step, if a creature dies this turn, populate. You could have some ways potentially to make sure that creatures die essentially on your side, or if you just swing out, you might lose some things as well, so then you're going to be populating too. Of course, there's plenty of other populate effects. Wizards, for the 18th millionth time, reprint Song of the World Soul. One of my favorite cards of all time. I got it when it was budget friendly, and all of a sudden it's $9. My goodness, Wizards. Get on it. Enchantment for 6 mana, whenever you cast a spell, populate. So again, when you make those shards into creature tokens, being able to then make them into amazing populated creatures can be even more powerful every single time you cast a spell, of course. Next up, Cloud Shift. Like I mentioned earlier, the more shards you have, the more creatures you are going to have that are copies. So, Cloud Shift your commander for a simple 1 mana spell like this, instant speed, blink your commander, bring it right back to the battlefield. Of course, if you do have other, you know, ETBs that you want to use and abuse, this can help you with that as well, so do keep that in mind. But yet, at the very least, it's a great way to protect your commander and a great way to say, oh yeah, 2 extra shards, which are basically 2 extra copies of a potential amazing creature. Next up, Far Traveler, a great budget-friendly card, just 8 cents. Commander creatures you own have at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target tapped creature control for the battlefield under its owner's control. Again, on your end step, if you just activated your commander once by, you know, paying 2 and tapping it, oh, there you go, it's tapped, cool. you're going to be able to blink that commander, bring it right back, and all of a sudden, yeah, get 2 more shards. Or, yeah, if we up the budget a little bit with another enchantment, Teleportation Circle. Get either end step, exile to 1 target artifact creature control, turn the battlefield on its owner's control. So yeah, basically this Conjurer's Closet, all the free repeatable ways to blink can of course be amazing to get a lot of shards into play. And of course, yeah, no procession. Yeah, if an effect will create 1 or more tokens under your control, creates twice the amount of tokens instead. Of course, the reason why this is $45 because, yeah, token doublers, token triplers, all those things are incredibly expensive, of course. Also, kind of with this, make sure you're considering Panharmonicon, which doubles up that ETB and works in a somewhat similar way to this one, where it's like, oh, okay, cool. I get 4 shards instead of 2, which is already a good amount. But yeah, being able to flood the board with shards can help you really finish off the game quite quickly. Next up, and Eddie did this in the Brutaclad deck the other day against me. Ouch, Eddie. Yeah, that hurt. Junk Winder. A great creature to really take advantage of, well, having tokens in play. Affinity for tokens, you can spend $2, 2 mana to actually cast it. It's a 4-cent card, not $2. Don't spend $2 on this. Whenever a token enters battlefield under control, tap target non-mana permanent opponent controls. It doesn't untap your controller's next untap step. Here's the disgusting thing that you can do with this one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, get this in play for just 2 mana. And then all of a sudden, yeah, you know, use your commander's ability to exile it. It goes away, and then all of a sudden, you get all of your shards becoming copies of it, and then you have any kind of a way to make any kind of a token, whether that's populating, whether that's blinking your commander, whatever it is, make those tokens, and all of a sudden, you have like those 6 junk widers in play, or whatever you have. For each of those tokens coming into play, you're going to get a trigger, and you tap things down. They're not going to be able to untap. So you just like kind of lock players out of the game from their non-land cards in a way. Things get pretty disgusting. So yeah, definitely consider something like this. Next up, Tidesound Tyrant. This is an even more disgusting card in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. An amazing finisher. A 5/5 Flying Djinn for 8 mana in blue, worth every one of those mana. Whenever you cast a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. You're just casting any spell. Again, literally, you turn all of your shards into copies of this. Again, let's just say you have 6 of them. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I cast a Cloud Shift. Blinking my commander. Cool, good for me. Oh, that's 6 triggers. So, yeah, let's just bounce all those things. Goodbye. Just basically like a Cyclonic Rift setup, essentially, when you're getting things going. And also it doesn't, you know, say non-land. So you can just bounce all your opponent's lands once you're late enough in the game. Be like, oh, well, I don't have any other things to target, so goodbye to your lands. Bye-bye. And of course, you know, earlier in the game, if you just want to set yourself up for some ETBs, you can do so as well. Archmage Emeritus, yet another example of a really good card to say, you know what, 1 is great, but so many more is so much better. Whenever you cast or copy an instant source spell, draw a card. Again, you turn all of your shards into copies of this, and all of a sudden you cast 1 Cloud Shift for 1 mana, and you're drawing like 6+ cards. So, yeah, you can do some absolutely absurd things with this commander once you're set up properly. Again, if you are interested in that commander and those cards, make sure you check that listed link out, and I'm just trying to stall a little bit before I have to talk about Meathook Massacre the second. Yeah, the first one was overpowered, and they didn't really need to make it the way they made it, but now we've got a second one. Let's see what it does. Legendary enchantment for XX. Black, 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 black. So, yeah, super. I mean, I guess I just realized this. Okay, the second one is literally double the cost, right? Because the first one, I believe, was X black black. This is double the cost. Enters, each player sacrifices X creatures. That counts you as well, so do keep that in mind. Whenever a creature you control dies, you may pay 3 life. If you do, return that card under your control, a finality counter on it. Whenever a creature the opponent controls dies, they may pay 3 life. If they don't, return that card under your control, a finality counter on it. Okay, so this is like board wipe equals mass steal or life loss for your opponents. It's a very, very powerful card. I do like that they really limited this card to being, I mean, not just in mono black, but it's limited what color combinations you can use it in because it's so heavy on those pips. Thank you, Wizards, for finally doing that. You know, cards like, you know, let's just not even mention, you know, one card where you got to pay the 2, and it should have been like, you know, 4 white pips instead of 3 and a white. Let's just not mention that one. Let's just not mention it. Okay, anyways, Meathook Massacre 2. This is a disgustingly amazing card. Again, You need like big mana, but even in mono black, you can definitely go big mana in some ways to really take advantage of it. But even if you're not, paying for that XX, you're just paying 4 mana in total. That's still well worth it to get this enchantment in play. Not force any sacrifice. You're probably gonna have other edict effects, of course, to just get creatures back in your control just for a little bit of 3 life for yourself. And then, it's finality counters. Keep that in mind so they can go away. But also, stealing your opponent's creatures, unless they're willing to lose life, that's huge as well. Yeah, I'm not excited to go up against this one. Oh my goodness. Okay, moving on. Leyline of Residence. That's right, we got a new Leyline. I love Leylines. Enchantment for soon enough we'll just have it in all Leylines deck, and I cannot wait for that day. It's like 60 years from now probably. Maybe not. Anyways, just like all Leylines, you're like, oh, my opening hand. Wow, I got 7 Leylines again. Put those down. Cool. Enchantment for 4 mana in red. It's in your opening hand. You may begin the game on the battlefield like all their Leylines. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single creature, you control a copy of that spell to target the copy. This one's a little more specific on what kinds of decks might want it because there's only so many decks out there that are like, I really care about, just casting a spell that targets one creature. Like Zada type decks, maybe, because those are specific to casting one thing, but it also likes to spread that out a little bit. But yeah, getting an extra copy could be quite nice in certain circumstances, and especially for really big spells that happen target one thing. Targets a single creature against you control. Keep that in mind. It's a specific card. It's interesting. The card decks that are going to want it are definitely going to want it. And also, of course, another card for the Leyline Tribal deck in 60 years when there's 80 of these. Moving on. Ethereal Armor. We've already seen this one. +1 enchant. For each enchantment control is first strike. I love this card. Just had to throw this one in here because it's a great throwback to one of my favorite decks of all time that I used to play in Standard. Moving on. Ghost Vacuum. Okay, are we in Luigi's Mansion? Or I guess, probably, Ghostbusters is, more so the apt thing, but, Luigi's Mansion too. Artifact for a single mana. Tap, exile target card from a graveyard. Pay 6, tap, sacrifice it. Put each creature card, exile with Ghost Vacuum, onto the battlefield under your control. A flying counter on it. Each summons a 1/1 series with other types. Active with sorcery. This is a really cool way to just kind of slowly build up. Well, it is graveyard hate in a way, but it also can help you build up value, obviously, because eventually you're going to pop this and just have a bunch of 1/1 flyers that hopefully for you have some great ETBs, some great attack triggers, whatever it is. But yeah, being able to take advantage of their abilities, of their triggers, is probably what you really want to do instead of being yeah, I got a bunch of creatures that are just 1/1 flyers. Yay! But yeah, be able to take advantage of those kinds of things. When it comes to what kind of deck wants this, really, if you've got a bunch of ETBs maybe and you want to throw in a card that can be good graveyard hate against your opponents as well, or if you've got a mill deck, obviously, consider something like this. Next up, we've got a brand new enchantment room, Central Elevator and Promising Stair. Central Elevator says, well, actually, I should probably read what, rooms do. You may cast either half. That door unlocks on the battlefield as a sorcery. You may pay the mana cost of a locked door to unlock it. So basically, you can pay for one and then pay for the other when you want to. Essentially, it's sorcery speed. When you unlock this door, search the library for a room card that doesn't have the same name as a room you control. Reveal, put your hand, then shuffle. So that'd be Central Elevator. Promising Stairs is the beginning of your upkeep. Surveil 1. You win the game if there are 8 or more different names among unlocked doors of rooms you control. So apparently, yeah, room, tribal, win condition. Cool. Yeah, outside of specific room decks, probably not. But yeah, room decks apparently are going to be a thing. Moving on. Overlord of the Flood Pits. Oh, this is a really cool art. A 5/3 avatar that costs 5 mana in blue and pending 4 for 3 mana in blue. So this basically means it's kind of like Suspend-ish, but I keep saying a Rick Smithy / Suspend because it's slumber counters anyway. Cast spell for its pending cost, enters with 4 time counters on it, is in a creature last one's removed, so it's still there. Beginning of your end step, remove a time counter front. There we go. Flying, when it enters the battlefield or attacks, draw 2, discard 1. That's a pretty good value. When you just impend it the first time, 3 mana, draw 2, discard 1, and eventually becoming a 5/3 flyer. Pretty interesting right there. Yeah, it's quite interesting. And again, enchantment creatures still can play in Enchanter style decks too. Next up, Valgavos Faithful, a 1/1 human cleric for a single black mana. By paying 4 mana in total, sacrifice it. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate as a sorcery. A reanimator creature. We've seen this type before. Very specific types of decks might want to consider this one. 4 mana for reanimation spell is actually kind of on par for normal zombify type spells. But usually you're getting a little bit more than that. But it being on a 1/1 human cleric can be relevant to human decks, cleric decks, etc., etc. Moving on. We got Shard Mage's Rescue, enchantment aura with flash for a single white mana, enchant creature control. As long as it entered this turn, enchant creature is Hexer, +1/+1. I could definitely see this one seeing play in certain types of like Voltron, heavy aura decks. Like my initial, I think it was my second or third deck on the channel actually was Shram. Love that deck. And basically, yeah, just being able to have like, okay, it's like protection, but also it's an aura that just helps me, cantrip for 1 mana. Absolutely absurd. So yeah, this could definitely see play in those specific like aura type strategies. Next up, Drag to the Roots, instant for 4 mana in Golgari. Delirium, the spell costs 2 less to cast if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Destroy target non-land permanent. That's quite nice. I mean, being able to destroy any non-land permanent for 4 mana is probably, it's about on par. It's on par with the way things used to be when it comes to like exiling, I guess, right? I'm thinking about that one in Orzhov. But yeah, for 3 mana at sorcery speed, we've had destroy as well. But now this is like 4 mana, but it's instant speed, or it could even be just 2 mana, which is really, really, really good. So yeah, for any kind of a deck that can not guarantee, but like can consistently get this, 4 more card types in the graveyard. If you got a self-mill deck, obviously, if you just have a bunch of different things in the deck, essentially, it's not just like all creatures. And it's like you never hit it. You definitely consider something like this. Really good removal. Next up, Inquisitive Glimmer, a 2/3 Fox Glimmer for 2 mana in Azorius. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less. Cast unlock costs cost you pay cost 1 less. This is one of those cards that I feel like some players just ignore because it has extra text on it. Like, if you don't have a rooms deck with, unlocking, cards and stuff like that, like, don't worry about it. This is still a very, very, very good card in Enchantress stacks because your enchantment spells cost 1 less. Yeah, that's amazing for a 2 mana card, essentially, that is also an enchantment. So this can really help you with Enchantress strategies. Obviously, room strategies as well now are going to love this, but still, like, if you don't have rooms, don't just be like, well, it doesn't include that, so I'm not going to use it. No, still use it. It's still great. Reduction is amazing in Commander. Can save you a lot of mana throughout the game. Next up, Grievous Wound. Oh my goodness. Brutal. Yes. Why is this not a curse, Wizards? Why? Why? Enchantment aura for 5 mana in black. Enchant player. Enchant player can't gain life. Whenever enchant player is dealt damage, lose half their life rounded up. Okay. I understand that within, like, certain sets or whatever, you're like, well, we don't have curses in this set. We don't want players to be confused. But, like, also, it's definitely a curse. Like, it is a curse. Curse decks out there were like, this is going to be great. Oh, no, it's not technically a curse. Okay. This is a brutal card that is probably going to lose you a friend in Commander because you're going to be like, okay, who do I put this on? And everyone's going to be like, no, 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 no. And then you put on someone and you're like, oh, thanks. Okay, well, guess I'm just gone. Because, let's just math this really quick. In a regular game of Commander, we start off with 40 life. Let's just say that all your opponents are at 40 life. How many hits does it take to take that player out? Dealt damage. I should say dealt damage, not even hit. So, yeah, I guess group slug decks are going to love this. You can take someone out in no time at all with your little pingers. But yes, let's just say hits. Let's say swinging through the creatures, okay? Ignore their actual damage. I'm not even going to do that calculation. Okay. They're at 40. The first hit would take them down to 20. Next hit would take them to 10, then to 5, then to, 3? No, it's rounded up, so 2. And then, yeah, they're basically gone in like 6 or 7 hits or so, and that's not even including like, the actual damage of the hits themselves. So, because it's not like lose half their life rounded up instead. It just is. So, yeah, that is brutal. That is crazy, and that player can't gain the life to actually bring it back. So again, a card that is amazing, a card that is brutal. Group slug decks are gonna love this. Evasive decks will love this as well. Just absolutely brutal, absolutely brutal. And unfortunately, curse decks out there are going to be just lamenting the fact that this is not a curse somehow, even though it is very much a curse. Wizards. Next up, Twitching Doll. That is some creepy art. Oh my gosh. 2/2 Spider Toy. Artifact creature for 2 mana in green. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, put a nest counter on it. Tap, sacrifice, create a 2/2 green spider creature token with reach. Reach counter on with Twitching Doll active on sorcery. I'm glad that we're starting to get more and more and more of these cards where mana dorks at 2 have just been, for a long, long time, just not like completely ignored. Like, if you're going very heavy mana dork, like, great, throw all the mana dorks in, cool. But, like, they were never seeing play over the 1 mana dorks, obviously, for most reasons, Anyways, this one's like, okay, cool. I'm not as good as those when it comes to, like, speed, but What I lack in speed, I make up for in, well, disgusting artwork, number one, disgustingly amazing artwork, but also, I mean, the potential for this to be an absolute, just disgusting amount of value. Again, you're like, okay, throughout the game, just tapping this, even if you don't have any proliferate effects, which of course are amazing on this. If you got, or untap effects too, if you're just normally just tapping this for a couple turns, you're like, oh, eventually, I need some blockers, or I need some attackers. Okay, cool, I'll sacrifice my mana dork that I've had around for like 6 turns for 12 tokens. Cool, not 12 tokens, sorry. 6 tokens, 12 total power with reach. Yeah, that's quite good. Sorcery speed does limit it a little bit again, because if someone's gonna be like, okay, cool, yeah, you need blockers on your turn, too bad. But still, again, if you have untap effects, if you have proliferate effects, this is a slam dunk as a mana dork choice. Of course, or like, if you've got a creature token strategy, or if you've got a creature token, doubling strategy, all those things, lovely, absolutely crazy. Next up, and finally, Patchwork Beasty. That is some really cool art. 3/3 Beast for a single green mana. Delirium can't attack or block unless there are 4 or more card types on cards you graveyard. You have to keep a mill a card. I mean, if you need like a repeatable mill effect, nice. I mean, a 3/3 for 1 mana isn't the scariest thing in Commander though, because like you can get pretty big things pretty quickly and get outpaced pretty quickly. So it's not like you're not going to build around this and be like, ooh, I'm going to race to get this activated so I can swing with it. Cool. It's more of a limited thing, but like if you do need like a repeatable mill source in Commander, this can be a good one that again can just be a good body for the cost, obviously. So there you go. And with that, this episode is come to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.